Hi, I'm Jesse. Let's continue in our devotions in our evangelism series, whose final week is focused on global missions. Jesse and I went on vacation in Mexico. It's great. It's a great place to vacate because the dollar goes a long way there. And we were exploring Mayan ruins, and our historian tour guide was talking about it on the drive there. He described one Mayan city whose pyramids were dismantled. These things were built in such a way that there were like 9 major steps on each side, and when you count the number of steps all the way up to it's 364, and the 365th step is the very top step. We went like snorkeling in this cave that had 200 plus human skulls in it, and where like human sacrifices were made, and where bodies were thrown down the stairs that we trepidatiously climbed up to the top in this Mayan city. And this other Mayan city was nowhere to be found because they had taken the stones from the temple and turned them into churches. I was blessed by that because sometimes history kind of whitewashes things, and Christianity can come under fire, like we come in and just totally eradicate a culture. But I think it's a good thing that they're no longer killing 13-year-olds. I think it's a good thing that they're no longer sacrificing children. I think it's a good thing they're no longer throwing human heads down steps. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a better use of those stones, as cool as those ruins were to explore. I think it's much better that they were turned into churches. That these churches are comprised of what once were the stone were comprising their pagan altars. They used to be used to kill people, and now they're used to bring people to life in Christ. This is the effect that global missions has on the world. We are the light in the darkness. When you see a disturbing headline, whether at home or abroad, the answer is always the gospel. The answer is always the gospel. Listen to Philippians chapter 2, beginning in verse 12. Therefore, my dear friends, just as you have always obeyed, so now, only in my presence, but even more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God who is working in you both to will and to work according to his good purpose. You know that time that you evangelized someone and then taught them to evangelize someone else? Yeah, that was all God working through you, man. Apart from him, you can do nothing. See John chapter 15. Do everything without grumbling and arguing. We quote that verse a lot around our house, especially around chore time. So that you may be blameless and pure, children of God who are faultless in a crooked and perverted generation, among whom you shine like stars in the world by holding firm to the word of life. Then I can boast in the day of Christ that I didn't run or labor for nothing. But even if I am poured out as a drink offering on the sacrificial service of your faith, I'm glad and rejoice with all of you. In the same way, you should also be glad and rejoice with me. The gospel causes the converted to shine like stars in the darkness, to shine a light in dark places, among whom you shine like stars in the world. When you are troubled by the darkness that you see in headlines in other countries, you can look back on our apologetics series. My Frame, Your Frame is the title of the sermon. You can see that ideas have consequences. If their worldview doesn't include the gospel of Jesus Christ, then you're going to have some violence that breaks out. You're going to have systemic failure. You're going to have, without a framework that accommodates for grace and forgiveness and redemption and origins and law and authority, then you're going to have chaos. And the answer to that ultimately is the gospel. The gospel. So as you watch news, as you see headlines come in from other countries, as you see what's unfolding in Afghanistan right now, this is all symptomatic of worldview. And the answer, sorry politicians, the answer is the gospel. Only the gospel will transform their hearts. Only the gospel will bring light into dark places. It's the gospel and the gospel alone. Global missions has tremendous geopolitical implications. It could turn Mayan cities into churches, from human sacrifice to sharing of the gospel. Just imagine what it can do in other countries as well. So the next time you get troubled in your heart watching international headlines of violence breaking out, I want you to consider Philippians 2 and know that the answer to that darkness is the light of the gospel. It could be that God is calling you to go on global mission there. Are you ready? Go light up the darkness.